Welcome to the next episode of Behind the Doors and Where the Eyes Lay. This is going to be the rough draft of my MWA 2. So, I just want to put another trigger warning. This does contain a lot of suicide and self-harm description and talking about my experiences with it. So I do want to put that in there because I understand that people are triggered, so hop off right now if that does trigger you. So let's just jump right in. When I was about in 7th grade, my sister was dealing with depression. She was diagnosed with depression. It is hereditary in my family, and so my family was not worried too much because we all have been dealing with it. And it was almost like we knew what to do. But in this case, everything that we were doing wasn't helping, and she was struggling. And I did everything I could as a little sister to try and help her. And we're just going to call my middle school something else because I don't want names. So we're going to call it School A. So I was attending School A. It's a middle school. And me and my sister both attended School A. And my teachers were noticing that I was becoming more anxiety-ridden and more just angry and upset. And so they went and had me tested for depression, but I didn't have it. And so they were realizing that my sister was missing a lot of school. And so they finally put two and two together and was like, is everything okay at home? Is there something going on? And I completely just broke down and told them everything. That my sister was diagnosed with depression, and it was scary, and I was angry that I couldn't do anything, and I would never sleep because I was afraid she was gonna try and harm herself. And we shared a room, and it was so hard. And my sister seemed like she was getting better over the span of the year. It seemed like she had gotten better, but it was just something that she puts on because she saw that I was hurting. And I finally was not scared anymore that summer of the year after she was diagnosed with depression. She acted like everything was okay, but in reality she was struggling the most. And the school year started again. She was now in high school, freshman in high school. And she was acting like nothing had happened, nothing was wrong. And it was September 30th of 2018. And that night, she seemed off before I went to bed. She seemed off. I would ask her, I said, "Hey, Kai, is everything okay? Like, is there anything you need to talk about?" She said, No, Viv, everything's good. You don't need to worry about anything. And I was saying, well, I love you the most. And she said, well, I love you. And after that, we went to bed. Well, I laid in bed, and so did she. Something that night just told me not to go to sleep. I was struggling to sleep. I was like tossing and turning. And then my sister, we had bunk beds, so I was on the top bunk, and my sister hated the top bunk because I was just I don't know why. I was so fond of it. I loved being up high in my bed, and I would have books in my bed, and then I'd put them underneath my pillow, and eventually they would fall through and hit her on the head. So she called it my dork library. And that night, I noticed that she went to the bathroom. It was like an hour. And I was afraid that something was going on. But in the back of my mind, something was telling me, it's all right, everything's fine. And I was about to go to bed, and something pulled me out of bed. It was like a sudden, I need to go to check what's going on. There's something going on. There's something wrong. So I ran down my stairs, knocked on the door, and at that very moment I heard the slumping of a body falling on the floor. And in that moment, my heart jumped out of my chest, and I knew what was going to happen, and I knew what had happened. So I ran in. She was there on the floor, and after that, it was just a whirlwind of emotions. I can't even tell you what happened for the rest of that night. After that, I had a lot of anger, and I was very angry at the world because I couldn't fix what was going on. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and those 2 weeks were just, I couldn't come clean to myself that I was hurting. I felt like I was the one needing to keep my family together in this hard time, but really I was the one struggling the most because I just had what I had saw, and it was scary. So ever since then, I have had this conflict with just anger. I'm so angry with that moment in my life where I thought I could help, and to this day I want to help people like that, but sometimes I can't, and that conflict is ongoing, and it'll never leave, and it sucks. So this was my rough draft, so I hope it wasn't too bad, and I'll see you in the final draft.